Hey, welcome to Midweek Huddle. I'm glad to be back with you. I told you yesterday that we were really going to get into something cool today, and it's one of my favorite things to teach out of the book of Hebrews. And so I encourage you to read and pray and think about what we were going to talk about today. And so I'm excited to bring it to you, and I want to jump right in today as we examine it, because I think it's such an important thing when we talk about covenant and how a covenant is brought about, and when a covenant goes into implementation, when the covenant begins to take place. The writer of Hebrews is going to answer that question for us here in the next three verses that we're going to take a look at out of chapter 9. So let's jump into it. Hebrews chapter 9, verses 15 through 17. Therefore he, Jesus, is the mediator, the intermediary of a new covenant, so that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance, since a death has occurred that redeems them from the transgressions committed under the first covenant. So the blood of Jesus, the sacrifice of Jesus, covers not only those who he is saving in his presence, but also those who he would save in the future, but also those he would save in the past, those saved under the old covenant. These people need saving. Look, let's read it again. Since a death has occurred that redeems them from the transgressions committed under the first covenant. So Jesus covers the imperfection of those who were saved under the old covenant. The blood of bulls and goats, we know, cannot make perfect. It was a shadow. It was an imperfect system for establishing relationship with God. Remember, the tabernacle that we talked about was a symbol of broken fellowship with God. So Jesus is going to save those under the old covenant as well as those in the present day with Jesus and the future. All right, so let's continue on here. Verse 16, for where a will is involved, a testament, okay, the death of the one who made it must be established. This is true in our world, right? In order for the will to go into effect, according to our legal system, according to the estate law, the death of the one who has died has to be proven. There has to be a death certificate, right? You don't get life insurance unless you can prove the death. The will does not go into effect until death. Keep that in mind. The death of the one who made it must be established. Verse 17, for a will takes effect only at death, since it is not enforced as long as the one who made it is alive. All right? The will takes effect only at death. So I want to point out something here. All right? I think it's very interesting for us to discuss today in illustrating the ending of the old covenant and the beginning of the new covenant and when that took place. And I want to do so by the thief on the cross. All right? Let's go back to Luke chapter 23. All right? Luke chapter 23. And I want to point something out. Verse 39. One of the criminals who were hanged railed at him, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we are receiving the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." And he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And he being Jesus, said to him, being the thief, "Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Now Jesus has not died yet, so that promise, that covenant with that man was made how? Under the old covenant. Remember what we just read. The new will, okay? The new covenant is not going to effect until the death of the one who made it has established it. Now this is a testamentary covenant, all right? Like a will that a father would make to his children. God has a will for our entire world. It's a testamentary will. It's the will that he has for his children. Now, all wills have conditions, right? Keep that in mind as well. That the will has conditions often. A testimony will has conditions. If you do this, you will receive. All right? Some things are just given because it's an inheritance. There's no conditions to it. It's just given. But testamentary wills have conditions. This will that Jesus makes, this covenant that Jesus makes to us, has conditions to it. Now, back to the thief on the cross for a moment. Jesus tells him, today you will be with me in paradise. Now, everybody assumes that the thief got to go to Jesus to heaven, right? But Jesus hasn't died yet. So that covenantal promise of Jesus, today you will be with me in paradise, was made under old covenant law. So where did they go? Well, we know that they didn't go to heaven. All right, how do we know that? How do we know that? Let's look at John chapter 20. All right, when Jesus appears to Mary Magdalene. All right, let's just pick it up in John chapter 20 and verse 15. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping, and whom are you seeking?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." And she turned and said to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. And Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father." I have not yet ascended to the Father. So where did they go? Where did Jesus and the thief go? When he said, he made this promise in Jesus' words, according to Revelation, he is the words, these are the words of the one who is faithful and true. Jesus cannot lie. God cannot lie. Jesus cannot lie. So when he said to the thief, today you will be with me in paradise, where did they go? Well, we find the answer back in Luke chapter